My wealthy sister-in-law forbade me from naming my baby after hers. Hello everyone, my name is Angela Carter and I'm 33 years old. My husband Jake and I spent 4 long years trying to conceive before we turned 35. Now at 33, we are incredibly lucky to have a wonderful newborn son. We live in a cozy little house just off Wash Park in Denver, Colorado, the kind of place where you can smell the pine trees and hear the neighbors arguing about Broncos games. Jake's my rock, 6'1", ex-high school linebacker with a grin that could melt ice caps. Me, I'm just a gal who thought she'd never trade her skinny jeans for stretchy maternity pants. Boy, was I wrong. Life was finally looking up after years of negative tests and awkward doctor visits, where I'd sit there clutching Jake's hand like we were auditioning for some sad rom-com. We got the golden ticket. Pregnant, I cried, Jake whooped, and we celebrated with a greasy pile of burgers from Cherry Cricket. Fast forward 9 months, and our son came screaming into the world, all pink and perfect. I figured we'd earned our happy ending, right? Wrong. I hadn't even gotten the hang of diaper changes before my sister-in-law swooped in to rain on my parade. Cue the dramatic music. Let me introduce the villain of this soap opera, Vanessa, Jake's half-sister from his mum's second marriage. She's the type who thinks she's Denver's answer to royalty, strutting around in her downtown penthouse, flashing Gucci bags like they're participation trophies. She made a killing flipping overpriced condos during the real estate boom, and now she drives a Tesla like it's her personal chariot. Then there's Linda, my mother-in-law, who treats Vanessa like she's the lost princess of some tacky kingdom. Linda's been divorced from Jake's dad, Tom, for decades, but she still acts like she's the matriarch of a dynasty. Together, they're a duo straight out of a reality TV train wreck. Think Real Housewives of the Mile High City, but with worse hair and more entitlement. The bad blood started 3 years ago, and oh boy, it's a doozy of a tale. Vanessa and Linda showed up at our place one Sunday, all smiles and fake hugs, claiming they just wanted to catch up. I should have known something was off when Vanessa kept eyeing my bedroom like a hawk scoping out a rabbit hole. Next thing I know, Jake catches her red-handed, rum-rugging through my dresser, trying to snag a jewellery box that belonged to his grandma from Edinburgh. We're talking heirloom stuff. Gold rings with tiny engravings, a pearl necklace that'd make you weep, and a sapphire bracelet worth 15 grand. $15,000. I nearly choked when Jake told me the appraisal. Vanessa had the gall to say, "I'm family too, I deserve a piece of this." Like what? You don't just waltz in and claim dibs on someone's legacy because you share a mum. Jake lost it. He's usually chill, but seeing his sister pouring at his grandma's treasures flipped a switch. "Get the hell out," he barked, towering over her like a linebacker ready to sack. Linda chimed in with her patented guilt trip. "She was just borrowing it, Jake." Borrowing my ass? Borrowing doesn't involve sneaking around like a raccoon in a trash can. I stood there, jaw on the floor, watching Vanessa clutch the box like it was her birthright. Jake yanked it back, told them both to leave, and that was that. No more Sunday visits. We hauled the jewellery to a safe deposit box at Chase the next day, and I haven't trusted either of them since. Vanessa even had the nerve to text me later, whining about how she's entitled to her share of the family legacy. I didn't reply. Delete, block, done. You'd think that'd be the end of it, right? Nope. Fast forward to last year. I'm pregnant, glowing like a discount candle, and Jake and I are brainstorming baby names. He pulls out this old letter from his grandpa, Alistair James, a Scottish guy who moved to the States in the 50s. The letter's yellowed, full of stories about Highland winters and sheep that knock you over for a biscuit. Jake's eyes light up. What about Alistair James? For our boy? I melted. It's strong, unique, and ties us to his roots. I was sold faster than you can say bagpipes. So, like an idiot, I posted on Instagram, "Can't wait to meet Alistair James." Big mistake. Huge! Within an hour, my phone pings. It's Vanessa, texting like she's issuing a royal decree. "Don't even think about using that name, it's mine." Excuse me? I stared at the screen, blinking like I'd just read a ransom note. Jake peeked over my shoulder and snorted. "She doesn't even know Grandpa Alistair. What's she on about?" I called her, figuring it's a joke. Nope, she picks up, voice cold as a January wind. I've had Alistair James picked out for ages. It's perfect for my son, and I'm due first. Back off. My jaw hit the floor again. Pretty sure it's permanently dented now. Jake grabbed the phone, laughing. You don't even know who he was, Ness. You're full of it. She hung up, but I could feel the smugness through the line. What the hell? Our happy little bubble just got popped, and I was pissed. So, Vanessa didn't just stop at her little text tantrum. She decided to turn this into a full-blown baby name heist. I'd love to say I was shocked, but that would be like saying, I'm surprised the sun rises in the east. This is Vanessa we're talking about. Denver's self-crowned queen of petty revenge. After she dropped her bombshell about claiming Alistair James, I sat there on our beat-up IKEA couch, scrolling through her Instagram like a detective on a caffeine bender. There it was, posted for her 3,000 followers to drool over, counting down to my little Alistair James. Pure class, pure legacy. Pure class? Please. She couldn't even pronounce it right. I'd bet my left shoe she'd say Alistair like some knockoff British accent from a bad PBS drama. Legacy? The only legacy she's got is a knack for stirring up shit. I dug deeper into why she'd latch onto this name like a barnacle on a boat. Turns out, it's not just about sticking it to us. There's a whole twisted backstory I didn't see coming. Jake once told me Vanessa was obsessed with their grandma's attention growing up. Grandma used to call Jake her little Highland heir in these old letters we keep in a shoebox under the bed. Vanessa? She got nada. No pet names, no special men. Rumor has it, and this is straight from Jake's cousin who's got a big mouth, Grandma wanted to name Vanessa Alistair if she'd been a boy, after her own Scottish dad. Linda shot that down faster than you can say tacky, insisting on something feminine instead. Vanessa's been salty about it ever since, like she thinks snagging the name now is her big middle finger to the universe. Classy motive, huh? More like a toddler tantrum in a designer dress. I showed Jake her post, expecting him to shrug it off. He didn't. His jaw tightened and he tossed his phone on the coffee table like it had personally insulted him. She's nuts if she thinks she's stealing this, he said, pacing our living room like a caged bear. Alistair's ours. End of story. I nodded, but my stomach did a little flip. What if she's serious, Jake? She's due months before me. She could slap it on her kid first. He stopped, looked me dead in the eye, and grinned that cocky linebacker grin I fell for back in college. Let her try. I'll call her bluff. So he did. He dialed her up, put it on speaker, and let loose. Ness, you want to use Alistair, fine, but it's ours too. See who's quicker on the draw. Her laugh crackled through the line like a villain in a cheap thriller. Oh, Jakey, it's already mine. Watch me. Click. She hung up, and I swear I could hear her smirking from her penthouse 10 miles away. That's when I realized this wasn't just a name grab, it was war. Vanessa didn't give a damn about Grandpa Alistair or his sheep-filled stories. This was about her proving she's the golden child, who should have gotten Grandma's love, the jewelry, the whole damn pie. She'd spent her life in Jake's shadow, second fiddle to the Highland heir, and now she saw a chance to rewrite history through her kid. I'd have felt sorry for her if she weren't such a raging asshole about it. Instead, I rolled my eyes so hard I nearly saw my brain. What's next? I muttered to Jake. She gonna trademark it with the state? He snorted. Wouldn't put it past her. She'd slap a patent on oxygen if she could. Things got spicier when her baby daddy Mike jumped into the ring. Mike's this wiry grease monkey from Aurora who fixes cars for a living and thinks he's God's gift to masculinity. Picture a guy who wears stained tank tops unironically and calls his beat-up Ford pickup Betsy. He called Jake the next day, voice all gravelly like he'd smoked a pack before breakfast. Hey man, you gotta back off this Alistair crap. It's Vanessa's pick. Don't be a dick about it. Jake didn't miss a beat. Nobody owns a name, Mike. You want to use it? Go ahead. We're not changing ours. I could hear Mike huffing on the other end, like a bull about to charge. You're a selfish prick, Jake. You'll regret this. Click. Another hang-up. I raised an eyebrow at Jake. Regret it? What's he gonna do? Slash our tires? Jake shrugged. He's all bark, no bite. Probably just mad Vanessa's got him whipped. Here's the kicker, though. Mike didn't even want Alistair. I got the tea from Jake's cousin later that week over beers at Bowl and Bush. Apparently, Mike's been pushing for Michael Joseph after his dad, some old school trucker he idolizes. Vanessa shut him down hard, saying it wasn't posh enough for her precious spawn. She's hell-bent on Alistair to one-up us, and Mike's just along for the ride, grumbling the whole way. Knowing that made me laugh. Her own guy's against her and she's too stubborn to see it. Classic Vanessa, screwing herself while trying to screw us. By the time April rolled around, she'd upped the ante. Her water broke and she strutted into St. Joseph's Hospital like she was walking a red carpet. A few hours later, bam, there's her kid. And she's blasting it all over social media. "Welcome, Alistair James, my perfect prince." With a photo of the birth certificate, no less. I stared at my phone, coffee going cold in my hand. "She actually did it," I said, half laughing, half fuming. Jake peeked over, shaking his head. "She's unhinged." She called us that night, voice dripping with fake sugar. "Say congrats to your nephew, guys. Isn't he adorable?" I gritted my teeth. "Congrats, Ness, but we're still naming our kid Alistair, so don't get too comfy." She screeched, "Put Angela on." Jake smirked, hit speaker, and I leaned in. "It's ours too, Vanessa. Deal with it." Click. She hung up again, and I knew the gloves were off. Vanessa might have thought she'd won the Alistair James showdown with her smug little birth certificate photo, but I wasn't about to let her have the last laugh. Not when my own kid was on the way. June hit, and after months of waddling around like a penguin on a bender, I finally popped. Our son came screaming into the world at Rose Medical Center, all 7 pounds of wrinkled perfection with these big blue eyes that screamed Grandpa Alistair. I lay there in the hospital bed, sweaty and dazed, staring at him while Jake squeezed my hand like he'd just won the Super Bowl. "He's here, Em," he whispered, voice cracking. "Our Alistair James." I grinned so hard my cheeks hurt. For one glorious moment, it was just us. Me, Jake, and our boy. No drama, no bullshit. I should have known it wouldn't last. 3 days later, I'm home, still figuring out how to juggle breastfeeding and coffee, when my phone lights up with Vanessa's name. I groan loud enough that Jake shot me a look from the kitchen where he was microwaving leftovers. "What now?" he muttered. I answered, bracing myself, and sure enough, she didn't disappoint. "How dare you copy me?" she screeched. Her voice so shrill, I yanked the phone away from my ear. "Alistair James is my son's name. You're stealing it." I blinked, stunned, then laughed hard. "Copy you? Ness, you're the one who jacked it from us. This is Jake's grandpa's name. Check the family tree, genius." Jake leaned over, smirking. "Yeah, Ness, you've got no claim here. Zip." She went ballistic, screaming something incoherent about disrespect before snarling. "Put Angela on," I snorted. "I'm already here, princess, and we're keeping Alistair, so suck it up." The line went dead and I tossed the phone on the couch, adrenaline buzzing. Round one, us. Her tantrum lit a match under the whole damn family. Linda, Jake's mom and Vanessa's biggest cheerleader, called an hour later, laying into me like I'd personally torched her house. "You selfish little brat," she hissed. "How could you do this to Vanessa? She's devastated." I rolled my eyes so hard I nearly sprained something. "Devastated? She stole the name first, Linda. Cry me a river." She gasped like I'd slapped her, then launched into a sob story about Vanessa's fragile state. "As a new mom," I cut her off. "Fragile? She's got the nerve of a bull shark." "We're done here." I hung up, but the damage was done. Linda had already unleashed the hounds. By nightfall, my inbox was a war zone. Aunts, uncles, cousins I hadn't seen since Jake's dad's BBQ 10 years ago, all chiming in. "Angela, you're heartless," one wrote. "Vanessa deserves better," said another. I was the wicked witch in their eyes now, cackling over a cauldron of stolen baby names. Whatever, I'd take the heat if it meant keeping Alistair. The real fireworks came a few weeks later, on a rainy July night that turned our quiet street into a mud pit. I was rocking Alistair to sleep, his tiny snores the only sound in the house, when someone started pounding on the front door like they were auditioning for SWAT. Jake bolted up from the recliner, muttering, "What the hell?" I peeked through the blinds and saw Mike, Vanessa's grease-stained knight in shining armor, standing there, soaked to the bone, fists clenched. "Open up, Jake!" he bellowed, his voice cutting through the storm. My heart slammed against my ribs. I clutched Alistair tighter, whispering, "Stay here, buddy," and tiptoed to the hallway. Jake flung the door open, filling the frame like a wall of muscle. "You got a problem, Mike?" he said, calm but icy. Mike stepped forward, dripping wet, looking like a drowned rat with a bad attitude. "Yeah, I got a problem. You're screwing with my kid's name, asshole. Back off!" I held my breath, half hidden behind the wall, watching this play out like a scene from a low-budget horror flick. Mike was all bravado, jabbing a finger at Jake, but he looked ridiculous, 5'6", scrawny as hell, yelling up at my linebacker husband in the pouring rain. Jake didn't flinch. "We've got cameras, man. Ring's recording this. Get off my porch. Now!" Mike's face twisted, and for a split second, I thought he'd swing. Instead, he spat a string of curses. "Fuck you, Jake. You're dead to me!" Then stormed back to his rusty Ford, tires squealing as he peeled out. I let out a shaky laugh, nerves still jangling. He's like a clown in a slasher movie. Scary, but pathetic. Jake shut the door, shaking his head. "Guy's got no spine. Vanessa's pulling his strings." She proved it the next morning. My phone rang at 7 a.m, a new number, but I knew who it was. Vanessa's voice hit me first, whining like a busted siren. "You humiliated Mike last night. He's crushed," I snorted. "Crushed? He showed up here like a lunatic. Tell him to grow a pair," Linda jumped in. I guess it was a party line now, sobbing, "You're tearing this family apart, Angela. Change the name." "It's not too late," I snapped. "Taping it apart? You two stole Alistair to spite us. Don't play victims." Jake grabbed the phone, voice low and lethal. "Ness, you didn't pick Alistair out of love. You did it to hurt us. It's over." Vanessa wailed. "You don't get it." Linda chimed in. "You're a monster, Jake." They hung up and I sank into the couch, pulse racing. This wasn't just drama anymore, it was a damn battlefield and we were in the crosshairs. After Mike's rain-soaked meltdown and Vanessa's tag team tantrum with Linda, I thought we'd hit rock bottom in this Alistair James saga. Turns out I was wrong. There was still a little deeper to dig before the dust settled. That night, after Jake locked the door and we collapsed on the couch, I couldn't shake this gnawing feeling. I sat there, staring at little Alistair sleeping in his bassinet, his tiny chest rising and falling like a metronome. He was perfect. Those blue eyes, that scrunched up nose, but all I could think was, is this name gonna haunt him? I'd fought tooth and nail to keep it, but now it felt tainted, like Vanessa's drama had cast a shadow over something pure. "Jake," I said, voice barely above a whisper. "What if this sticks with him forever? Every family gathering, every story. He'll be the kid from the name war." Jake slid closer, wrapping an arm around me. "And we didn't pick Alistair for them. It's ours. They don't get to ruin it." His words were steady, but I wasn't convinced. Not yet. The next few weeks were quiet. Too quiet, like the calm before a tornado rips your roof off. I kept waiting for Vanessa to pull some new stunt, maybe hire a lawyer to sue us for emotional distress or plaster our faces on a billboard with "Name Thieves" in big red letters. Instead, nothing. No calls, no texts, no cryptic Instagram posts. I almost missed the chaos. It was easier to fight than to sit with my own doubts. Alistair was growing fast, hitting that chunky thigh stage where you just want to squeeze him all day, but every time I said his name, I'd catch myself wondering if we'd made the right call. Jake caught me staring into space one morning, coffee cup forgotten in my hand. "You're overthinking it," he said, kissing my forehead. "She's done." I wanted to believe him, but my gut said otherwise. Then, out of the blue, she called. It was mid-October, leaves piling up in our yard like a crunchy orange carpet. I was folding onesies when my phone buzzed. A number I didn't recognize, but I knew. I answered, steeling myself for another round of shrieking, but what I got was different. Vanessa's voice was shaky, like she'd been crying or hadn't slept in days. "You guys win," she said. Barely audible. "Mike's gone. He'd left me over this stupid name." I froze, onesie dangling from my hand. What? She took a ragged breath. I picked Alistair because Grandma wanted it for me. Mum told me years ago. She said no. Gave me Vanessa instead. I thought using it now would prove I was worth it more than Jake. But I fucked up. I sat down hard on the couch, stunned. Grandma wanted Alistair for her? That hit like a freight train. Suddenly her obsession made a warped kind of sense. Before I could respond, Linda's voice cut in. Guess she'd been lurking on the line the whole time. It's true, she snapped, but there was a crack in her usual venom. I promised Vanessa she'd have that legacy. Grandma's jewelry, the name, all of it. You stole it from her, Jake. I found my voice, anger flaring up. Stole it? Linda, it's not a damn game show prize. Alistair's our son, not a bargaining chip. Jake grabbed the phone, his tone sharp enough to cut glass. Ness, you dug your own grave here. You didn't want Alistair for love. You wanted it to spite us. Own it. Vanessa whimpered. I don't know anymore. I just wanted to feel like I mattered. Linda jumped back in. You're heartless, Jake. But her sob cut her off mid-sentence. Click. They were gone, and the silence felt heavier than their screaming ever had. I sat there, reeling. Vanessa's confession spun in my head like a top. Part of me pitied her, this broken girl chasing a ghost, but mostly I was pissed she dragged us into her mess. Jake rubbed my back. She's crumbling, Em. It's over. He was right. A week later, word trickled in through Jake's cousin that Vanessa had caved. She'd hauled herself to the Denver courthouse, paid $500 to change her kid's name to Michael Joseph. Mike's pick, not hers. She texted me after, a pathetic little plea. You owe me for the fee. $500 plus something for the stress. I'm a wreck. I laughed out loud, a bitter, triumphant sound. A wreck? Sweetie, you built that train yourself. Don't expect me to buy the ticket. Jake typed back, we owe you nothing. Lose our number. She didn't reply, and I could almost picture her sulking in that gaudy penthouse, alone with her regrets. The fallout spread fast. Linda tried to spin it, calling up relatives with a sob story about how we destroyed Vanessa. It backfired. Jake's dad, Tom, got wind of it and set the record straight. She brought this on herself, he told me over the phone, his gravelly voice firm. You two did good, kiddo. A few aunts even sent me sheepish texts. Sorry, Em, we got it wrong, which I didn't bother answering. I was done with the circus. By the time November rolled around, I could say Alistair without flinching, that shadow lifting bit by bit. Jake was right. It was ours, not hers. Vanessa's surrender in that tear-soaked phone call felt like the final buzzer in a game we'd been winning all along. I just hadn't known it till the scoreboard lit up. After she forked over $500 to slap Michael Joseph on her kid and begged us for a pity payout, I figured we'd seen the last of her drama. I was ready to close the book, burn it, and scatter the ashes somewhere she'd never find them. So that's exactly what I did, metaphorically at least. I sat down one crisp November morning, Alistair napping in his crib, and went full scorched earth on my phone. Blocked Vanessa's number, Linda's too, and every cousin who dared to call me a villain in their whiny little texts. No more emails, no more cryptic sob stories popping up in my inbox. Nada. I turned to Jake, who was sprawled on the couch with a beer, and grinned. It's done, they're out of our lives. He raised his bottle in a mock toast. Good riddance. Our house, our rules, no clowns allowed. I laughed, and for the first time in months, it felt real. With the toxic duo gone, I could finally breathe. No more jumping every time my phone buzzed. No more bracing for the next ambush. Alistair James was ours alone, and I started saying his name with a kind of fierce pride, like I was staking a flag in the ground. Jake and I turned our little wash park home into a fortress of normalcy. We'd spend evenings on the porch, sipping cheap wine, while Alistair cooed in his bouncer, the Denver skyline glowing in the distance. It wasn't glamorous. Half the time I had spit up on my shirt, but it was ours, and that was worth more than all the penthouses in Vanessa's crumbling empire. Jake would tease me. You think she's still crying into her caviar up there? I'd smirk back. If she is, it's her own damn fault. The only family tie we kept was Jake's dad, Tom, a grizzled old guy who lived an hour away in Boulder and had zero patience for Linda's nonsense. After Vanessa's collapse, he started showing up more, pulling into our driveway in his beat-up Subaru with a cooler of Coors and a grin that said he'd seen it all. "Hood Ness changed the kid's name," he said one Saturday, plopping down on our porch steps. "About time she quit her whining." I handed him a beer, smiling. "Yeah, Tom, she tried to guilt us into paying for it. Can you believe that?" He chuckled, a deep, raspy sound. "Girl's got more nerve than brains, always has." Tom was like a lighthouse in the storm of that family, steady, no bullshit, and always there when we needed him. He'd scoop Alistair up, tickling his belly till the kids squealed, and tell us stories about Grandpa Alistair's wild days herding sheep in Scotland. "Tough old bastard," he'd say, eyes twinkling. He'd have loved this little guy. Meanwhile, Vanessa's kingdom was falling apart faster than a house of cards in a windstorm. Word came through Tom she'd hit a rough patch after Mike bailed. Turns out her real estate golden goose had stopped laying eggs. The market tanked, her fancy clients ditched her, and she had to sell that swanky penthouse to cover her debts. Last we heard, she'd moved into some dingy apartment off Colfax, the kind of place where the walls are paper thin and the neighbours blast death metal at 3 a.m. I couldn't help but smirk when Tom dropped that nugget over Thanksgiving leftovers. "Denver's queen is a pauper now," I said, carving a slice of turkey for Alistair to gum on. "Kinda poetic, huh?" She snorted. "Poetic? More like karmic. She built her throne on quicksand." Sucks to be her. I didn't feel better. Not one bit. She'd swung at us and missed, and now she was picking up the pieces of her own mess. The family fallout fizzled out too. Linda's smear campaign didn't stick. Tom made sure of that, calling up relatives to set them straight with his no-nonsense growl. "Ness dug her own hole," he'd say, and most of them nodded along once the truth sank in. A couple aunts even mailed us Christmas cards with half-assed apologies scribbled inside. "Hope you're well, sorry for the mix-up," which I tossed in the recycling without a second thought. I didn't need the mea culpas. I had everything I wanted right here. By December, we threw a little party for Alistair's first holiday, just us and Tom, stringing up lights and burning a batch of cookies in the oven. Jake danced around the living room with Alistair on his shoulder, singing off-key carols while Tom and I laughed till our sides hurt. It was messy, loud, and perfect. No drama, no backstabbing, just us. Looking back, I almost couldn't believe we'd come out the other side. Vanessa's reign of terror had crashed and burned, leaving her a washed-up has-been in a shitty apartment, while we were here thriving. I'd watch Alistair toddle around, smearing mashed potatoes on the walls, and think, we won! Not because we'd crushed her, though that was a nice bonus, but because we'd held on to what mattered. One night, Jake and I sat by the fireplace, Alistair snoring between us, and I said, "She really thought she could take this from us." He grinned, that old linebacker swagger shining through. "She never stood a chance." I nodded, sipping my wine, and let out a quiet laugh. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Her drama's her problem now, and with that, I leaned back, basking in the glow of a victory that didn't need a crown. Just a family, a home, and a name we'd made our own.